Hi, everybody. This is Matt Mehaffey. I'm the music director of the Oratorio Society of Minnesota and the Mendelssohn Choir of Pittsburgh. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to our exciting summer series called Candid Conversations. I'm coming to you here on July 8th from my home in Minnesota, and I'm joined here by my dog Gus, who's at my feet. And I'm pretty excited about today because I was able to kick my family out to have quiet here in my house. We've been spending the past 4 months together, holed up here in our home. And so it's great to be here with you today. Typically, this is a time of year when the Oratorio Society of Minnesota starts its summer chorus. And I know that there are many of you who have been multi-year members of our summer chorus who are tuned in right now. This is a program where we prepare masterworks of Western choral music as kind of an adult summer camp. But obviously this year we're not able to get together in that way. So we thought it would be wise and a great opportunity to just press pause on the music making and to reflect a little bit more about some contemporary issues in choral music and discussions that kind of are going around the choral field. So it's very excited to introduce our 4 sessions that we'll be having, and also to welcome 4 master voice teachers to work with you over the next 4 weeks. I just want to let you know that everybody is welcome to these events. You do not have to be a member of one of the 2 choirs that are sponsoring this. If you are watching this and you feel that there might be a friend of yours anywhere in the world who would want to join us, you are most welcome to share all of this information with them and ask us to join us live. We are hoping that those of you watching, if you're interested in participating in these events, that you would register for these sessions. There's no cost to register. There's no commitment if you do register. It's just a way for us to communicate with you from week to week to let you know kind of what's going on. And you can do that by going to the Eventbrite link that is going to be put in the comments here. And so if you go there, you'd be able to sign up and you'll get all the information. The idea of these sessions is that you can come for one, you can come for all of them, you can come for part of each one, you can come for just the voice lesson, you can come for just the discussion. Whatever works for you is best. You can do it however you'd like. Again, they are all free. Each week is going to start with a voice lesson with just a wonderful vocal coach. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about them and about the sessions later in this broadcast. But we're going to start today with making music. And so it's my pleasure to welcome to this broadcast Jamie Chamberlin. Jamie is a soprano who those of you who are part of the Mendelssohn Choir or part of the Mendelssohn Choir audience may remember that she just joined us in February for the world premiere of Stuart Copeland's Satan's Fall. And I loved working with Jamie and getting to know her during that time. And she's just one of those just kind of magnetic artists who makes music with such joy and such just incredible artistry. And she is also a kind of an established voice teacher and vocal coach, and she's going to spend about 20 minutes with you now talking about the idea of breath support. And afterwards, we're going to take 5 minutes out to answer any questions you might have for her. So at any time during this broadcast, you can type in, whether you're on Facebook Live or YouTube, you can type in the comments section any questions that you have, and we'll try to answer as many of those as we possibly can in the time we have remaining. Yeah. So Jamie's going to spend 20 minutes with you now, and then we'll come back with 5 minutes of questions. And then after that, I'm going to just kind of go through the syllabus of this class, if you will, for about 20 minutes. So I look forward to seeing you then. And Jamie, thank you so much for being here with us all the way in California. And
California.
We're multi-coasted here. We have people watching all throughout the United States, and that is just really exciting. So Jamie, I'm going to ask you to take it away, and I'll see you in about 20 minutes.
Thanks, Matt. Oh, man. How lucky is everyone to have Matt Mehaffey in their lives? Super lucky, I feel like, right? Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie. great to see you again if I've met you. And it's so wonderful and such an honor to be here tonight. You know, when Matt approached me, I was like, well, what am I going to talk about? 20 minutes, you know, I can't really give like a full voice lesson. So I decided to specifically focus on one thing that for me was a source of some confusion when I was starting out as a singer. And really, it's kind of been something that I've had to rethink throughout my career as a singer, which I've been singing professionally for over 20 years now. So as I've grown, I've developed a new idea and a new way of thinking about this term, breath support. Breath support, support your breath. These are things that voice teachers, conductors might say to you, right? As singers, oh, you need to support your breath. Oh, you need to sing from your diaphragm. Have we heard that before? I know that I heard that a lot, but I didn't really understand what that meant until I really dug deep into the anatomy, so of our own bodies and our own physicality. And also, you know, the science of it. And then there's the other special spin that I like to put on it for myself, which is I really focus on visualization and mental engagement with whatever I'm trying to do. So I want to introduce to you, if you haven't heard it yet, a term that is a big controversial term amongst voice teachers and opera singers. And it's not controversial, but there seems to be a little confusion around it. And it's this term called appoggio. So it's spelled Appoggio, appoggio, right? And the technical definition of this in Italian, it's an Italian word. This term was coined by the great bel canto vocal pedagogists of their day, right? In Italian, appoggio means to lean or to support. And I kind of just went, well, what am I leaning on? And what am I supporting? And until I really did the reading into anatomy, I didn't really have a clear idea. And now it's something that I teach from very beginning to the oldest singers that I teach. We're all constantly learning this. And the first visual that I would like to give you guys is, I want you to visualize, I'm going to stand up here so you could see. Here I am. Oh, there I am. And so here's my rib cage, right? And right here, kind of where my necklace is, this is maybe where my diaphragm would be, okay? So it's sitting there, right, in the bottom of the rib cage. And the natural shape of the diaphragm is a slight dome. Oh my gosh, I'm working with this iPad for the first time and I'm like not used to the angles. The natural shape of your diaphragm is a slight dome. So imagine this, a slight dome, right? And that's just the neutral position of the diaphragm. Now, when you inhale, and I'm going to inhale 1, 2, 3, right? The diaphragm flattens and it expands upon inhalation. And then we come to the moment of appoggio. That moment after you inhale and the diaphragm expands and flattens, that expansion of the diaphragm, that outward sort of, I don't want to call it force, but it's like an outward momentum and energy, right? So we go from this to that. That is the feeling that we want to have when we are about to onset on a note. And we want to maintain that sort of expanded diaphragm throughout our phrase, whatever phrase we're singing, right? So for example, if I might sing, so I would breathe in, and then I would engage, which I'll talk about, engaging my support, and then I would onset. So that is what happens as I am about to sing a phrase. There's 3 things really that happen. The first is that we inhale through our nose, ideally, especially if it's at the beginning of a song or an aria, or a choral piece, right? Because we're applying this, I'm teaching you as if you're a soloist, but we're applying this to your choral singing as well, because singing on a fully supported breath creates longevity in the voice. And that is really what we're after. We want to sing for a long time, and we want to sing as healthfully and as beautifully as we can for a long time. If we're singing unsupported, that's when we're going to experience vocal fatigue. That's when we're going to lose our voices and experience laryngitis, because we're not supporting our tone on our breath. So the 3 steps, and I kind of just interrupted myself, I'm sorry. The 3 steps that I like to visualize when I'm about to begin singing a phrase. Step 1, inhale through the nose, right? Right? And that does is it naturally flattens and expands your diaphragm. You don't have to think about it at all. Your diaphragm and your body knows what to do when you inhale. So that's why I don't like the term sing from the diaphragm, because that doesn't really make sense. Your diaphragm does what it's going to do, but we can support what our diaphragm naturally does, and we can enhance what our body naturally does in order to create a better vocal line and a better singing technique. So step 1, inhale through the nose. Step 2, engage your core support. Now, what does that mean? Sing from your core, right? We've heard that. What exactly does that mean? All right, so let me stand again. So when we inhale, right, we flatten our diaphragm, and then there's the muscles, and you're not going to be able to see them, but it's all the muscles that are under your belly button. So belly button and below of your abdominal muscles, right? So your pelvic floor, you're engaging, you're giving a slight, like a tightening, like you're flexing, right? You're flexing in that moment. Now, we want to be careful with words like tight or flex, because we don't want to have a lot of tension when we're singing. So I like to just use engage, or like have energy or heat there. That is a really good visual. So we breathe in, we engage our core support while our diaphragm is already flattened out. And then we use our upper abdominals, which are the muscles sort of like where your tummy is. A good way of visualizing it is drawing your belly button in towards your spine, right? So like, let me do this. So you would like draw your belly button in to the back of your spine, right, people? That's a great visualization for how do you actually support your singing, right? Because we don't want to be like doing a crunch while we're singing. We want to be flexible. We want to be fluid. We want to be stretchy, like a piece of saltwater taffy or something. That's how we want our voices to be, and that's how we want our bodies to be when we sing. So step 1, breathe in. Inhale through the nose, and the diaphragm will flatten naturally. Step 2, engage your core support, which includes your pelvic floor, the muscles below your belly button, and all the muscles above your belly button, your intercostals, the muscles in the back of the body, right? This expansion happens in the back of the body too. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm sorry, I need to dab. I'm just like so excited. It's hot in California. I can't have the air conditioning on when I'm talking to you. And I have my special lighting, which is making me dewy and misty. So there's step 1 and 2. Inhale, engage your core support, upper and lower, and breathing into the back body. And our third step is in this process is the onset of vocal tone. So we have flattened the diaphragm. The diaphragm is supported by our wonderful core and abdominal muscles. And then we're going to gently prepare ourselves to onset. Now, I always suggest a vocal onset should be from above. And that is how we are going to approach it. So we'll just think of coming in above the note. We're all prepared, and then we can easily sing that Madama butterfly, right? Because I've prepared so well. Here I go again. All right, so that is my idea of appoggio. Now, I want to give you guys a few specific exercises that can really help to address this particular factor in your singing. I don't want to call it an issue because it's not an issue. This is just a tool for you to become a better singer. And I think that it's helpful for us to reframe things in a way that, you know, it's not a problem. It's not an issue. We need to respect our bodies as singers. And we need to respect that everybody has a different voice. And I'm all about that in my studio when I teach. So the first exercise I want to share with you is going to be done on a sliding fifth. And it is NG. And sometimes I put a little H in front of it because I think it's easier to do it that way. But the NG is a semi-occluded sound. Right? Let me get my keyboard right. There we go. Okay. And what am I doing here? I just flared my nostrils a little bit. Flaring your nostrils is a great trick for getting in touch with your nasal ports, which is just another important tool to help you resonate better, right? Our sound resonates through all the spaces and all the tissue in our bodies and in our faces. So we're using all of these things to create our best sound as individual singers. Now, I said semi-occluded. I said that NG was semi-occluded. And all that means when you're singing a tone or a vowel, oo is another semi-occluded vowel. And that just means that the singing of the vowel in itself naturally restricts the airflow so that you can have a more controlled, gentler flow of air. You're not at risk of pushing too much air through when you're singing ooh. You're not as risk when you're doing that as if you're singing ah. There's more air coming through when you're singing an open vowel like an ah. And I like to start off my warm-ups with a semi-occluded sound. So I start with the hung. And at your leisure, however you want to go up. I love sliding fifths are great. Get through all these notes. Hung. Crunch through all those notes. That is what this is meant to do. It's meant to warm you up, right? So we have NG on sliding fifths, exercise number 1. Number 2 is just a very simple do, re, mi, re, do, right? And go up as you feel necessary. I always recommend extending your range during your warm-up towards the end of the warm-up by a half step to a whole step beyond where you feel comfortable, just trying to go for those notes, both on the top and on the bottom. Now, I'm high soprano, so I definitely bottom out at low F. And at this point today, I've been talking all day, so I'm pretty sure I don't have a low F right now. Let's test it. No, I do have a low F. Not too shabby. Okay. So this is ooh. Now, as you move up into the top of your range, you're naturally going to want to open your vowel from the oo to a more open vowel. Go with that instinct, okay? So as you go up, like for example, I'm in my passaggio when I'm here. That's where I know in my own voice that I need to open it up a little bit more because I'm going into high note land there. And for me, my high note placement is a more open, it's like a nice rounded ah with a little bit of teeth in it. So I like to put a little smile in it. And that's what I call it, just like putting the tooth in it, right? So it's ah, right? When I have to hit one of my stratospheric notes that I get paid the small bucks to hit. Okay, so so there we are with that. So we have our sliding fifths, and we have our ooh, ooh. Each one of those exercises at your leisure. And then I like to do, oh, this is a great one. You can also do lip trills. I'm not going to demonstrate them too much, but it's when you do this. Now, the reason why a lip trill helps with, I guess I am doing it, helps with your appoggio because it really gives you an ability to continue that expansion of the diaphragm as you're going through the lip trill. And now it's back to neutral. Right? So that's why a lip trill is good. It really helps you key into that feeling of diaphragmatic expansion. Here's another nice one that helps you key into that. We start on the bottom. It's going to be a sliding octave. We're going to start on an ah. Ah. We're going to transition through O and to oo for the top note. This is how it sounds. Ah, oh, ah. Sliding through. This is good. This is going to help warm up everything. Ah, oh, transition, but transition smoothly, not like I just did. Ah, oh, ah. Let me go into a different part of my voice. Ah, ah, oh, now what that does, that starts you on an open vowel, transitions you to a slightly more closed vowel, right? So ah, oh, ooh, and then ooh is our semi-occluded tone, but at the same time, you're having to go up the octave, which requires a little bit more of a kick in your support, right? So that requires us to continue thinking about our diaphragm being expanded in that moment, and to also give a little extra support to our muscles, our pelvic floor in that moment as you travel up the octave. And then just one more exercise, and I'm going to let Nat come back on and tell me if there's any questions. The last exercise I want to do for you is something that involves some staccati. So it goes. I'm getting into high note land, so I'm going to start just giving a little tiny bit of a smile, adding some teeth to that top note. So easy. Now, that was my high C. I haven't sung a high C yet today. I just warmed up a little bit. But because I knew I was writing on my breath, I was using appoggio to my advantage, I wasn't scared to try and hit a high C on a live webinar or whatever we're doing, right? Because I know that I was singing with my diaphragm as expanded as I could continue to have it throughout each exercise and each phrase. So I'm here to tell you today, the idea of breath support is not something to be afraid of. I hope that I have demystified it a little bit for you. And it's really as a tool, you know, it should be really used as a tool to say, how great of a singer can I be? And how can my voice be the best it can be? And how can I sing each phrase as beautifully, wonderfully, and have a long-lasting breath that I'm managing and controlling just beautifully. So that is my goal for you, and I hope that you may achieve it, and I know you will. Matt, are you here? Are you here there? Hi.
Thank you, Jamie. That was great.
Did you like that?
I loved it. I just want to take a moment to reach out to everybody out there. I was checking our platforms. Looks like we have well over 100 people watching right now, which is really super. And I'm sure that many people have questions. So if you have a question, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook Live, you could type that in here, and it may take a few seconds to get to us, but we will have Jamie answer a couple of those. But I do see one here already. This is from Mary Beth Salama. She's a member of the Mendelssohn Choir. And she says, how do you keep your throat relaxed on the higher notes?
How do you keep your throat relaxed on the higher notes? Well, I think that speaks to low larynx position singing. And this is a whole other thing. So let me first say, what is our larynx? Do we even know? Our larynx is this little kind of box, or it's like almost like a little cradle or a cage, right? And our vocal folds, which are like these two little things, they actually live right in there. They live right inside the larynx. So the larynx is like right here, and my vocal folds are right behind it. And there is a tendency as you go higher, and as we sometimes move the weight of our lower voice up into our higher register, that the larynx will start to grab. And I think that that maybe is what you're thinking when you say, how do you keep your throat relaxed? So the best way to do it is to find a moment to swallow, exhale all your air, and reset yourself. Honestly, like this is something I've had to do on stage so many times. Anytime I sang Cunegonda, I had a, so that's the famous aria, Glitter and Be Gay from Candid. It's really, really hard and athletic. I had a moment in the music that I would always turn up stage, even if I was just singing it for an audition. And I would literally go and reset and then turn back around. And that really helps me get my larynx slow. The other thing that could be is you could have tightness in your pharyngeal wall, which is the fancy word for the back of your throat. So other ways to sort of ease any tension you might feel back there is just kind of like cat stretch exercises, really lifting the soft palate. So we have our hard palate in the front, which is right behind our teeth, and then our soft palate, which transitions to the back of our throat, which is also called the pharyngeal wall. And our pharyngeal wall is very important. It's it's one of the things that makes you sound like you as a singer. So whatever your structure is, whatever that tissue is made up for you, is your voice and your sound alone. And that combined with your entire body and your facial structure and the way you manage your breath is what gives you your sound as a singer. So stretch out that pharyngeal wall. Stick your tongue out. So this is kind of graphic, but yeah, right? Stick your tongue all the way out. Really get stretching back up there. And then also doing things like just really kind of like going low. Like, okay, it's almost like, when a cat is about to have a hairball. It's like that sound. Do you know what I'm saying? It's that sound. That naturally depresses the larynx. So you don't want to push your larynx down. Your ideal position of your larynx is just neutral, protecting those beautiful vocal folds.
Members of my choirs will know that cats aren't my favorite thing, but in a moment of COVID weakness, my daughter's almost convinced me to get a kitten, but I remain strong. Let's see, we have one more question that came through here. It's from Sam Emilio. Sam's a tenor with the Mendelssohn Choir of Pittsburgh, and he asked, are there any exercises particularly useful for the maturing/aging voice? Sam is one of our most experienced singers, and even though he has lots of experience, I'm still pretty sure he could kick my butt if he needed to.
I love that.
So any exercises for those? folks thinking about their physiology changing and maybe their range and that type of thing?
Absolutely. And this is huge because my goal as a teaching artist is really to help people achieve longevity in their singing. And so thinking about appoggio and making that a really, really core part of the way you think about yourself as a singer who is, your body is transitioning. It is sort of, flowing into the new you as you age. And I've had to redo my vocal technique a couple of times. And it's not that I'm redoing it or I'm singing differently. I have to think about different things now, right? So the number one tool that I have for you is Sam, right?
Mm-hmm. Sam.
Is to record yourself singing. So record yourself doing these vocal exercises. And I don't know if you have a concern. So sometimes typical things as we age, things becoming flat, right? So it's kind of like a flat sound maybe to the voice, a heaviness to the voice, or an excessive vibrato is something that people experience going into a wobble. And then also there's one more thing and I forgot what I was saying. So let me address those things. Appoggio will help fix all of those things. So properly managing your breath will help you fix that. So when you sing, record yourself, see if you are flatting or if you have a wide vibrato in any section of your voice. Identify those sections and then work on those sections of your voice specifically. It's methodical, honestly. And I tell people it's like that 10,000 hours rule. Like, you really practicing is the thing. Using your voice is the thing that will keep your voice youthful. And so that's my advice on that.
Great. That's wonderful. Jamie, just a couple other things. Well, first of all, everybody who's out there, Jamie gave you a lot of things to think about and several exercises. And I just wanted to let you know that if you wanted to go back after this and try this when you had a little bit more time, these videos will remain on Facebook and YouTube, so you can go back and revisit them. You'd also be welcome to, if you had a friend who you thought would be interested in this, to share them with them as well. So make sure that you look out for that. So Jamie, just before we say goodbye, you want to tell us a little bit about what it's been like being a singer during COVID? I know you had a couple projects. You and I've talked about your thing with Nathan, with LA Opera, and also a recital you've been preparing. Tell us a little, in a couple minutes about those, and if people wanted to find you online, where could they find you?
Oh, yeah.
So they can follow what you're doing and your teaching and all of that. So give us a couple minutes of that.
Okay, so first of all, find me, like a lot of the Mendelssohn people I'm on Facebook with, find me. I'm Jamie Chamberlin Granner, because my husband Nathan Graner is going to come and talk to you guys all at the end of this series. He's a tenor, but my stage name is just Jamie Chamberlin. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Jamie Chamberlin Granner, and then my website is just jamiechamberlin.com. I need to update it. But the coolest thing that I've been doing since COVID-19, it was literally like March, we literally lost our entire livelihood. And something very cool happened. LA Opera called us, and specifically LA Opera Connects, which is their education and community outreach department that I've been singing with since 2006. And they just kind of said one day, would you guys be able to make us a video for our LA Opera at Home presentation? We need it by tomorrow. And Nathan and I were like, what? And we put together this video. It's called Sing Out Loud. It's geared for an 8-year-old audience, so it's great for the young people, but we do serious opera performances and serious art song in amidst a fun environment that's educational. So we did that first video, and then they came back and they offered us to make 8 more episodes. So we have a beautiful 9-episode season. We just had our big season finale yesterday on the LA Opera live Facebook page. So follow LA Opera, you'll see me all over there. And then, so our show Sing Out Loud is available through the LA Opera website. the LA Opera Connects and LA Opera YouTube channels, and LA Opera's Facebook page. And then I'd like to cordially invite you all to a recital that Nathan and I are giving for Opera Orlando. We were supposed to be in Orlando on August 23rd, but we're going to pre-record the music from Long Beach, and then we're going to live host the recital on August 23rd. And I just think it's going to be a great fun event. Opera Orlando, just Google them. You'll be able to find it. It's called Opera on Park is the concert series. We're kicking it off, me and Nathan. And I do realize that we've been very blessed to continue to be able to perform during this time. And it's just been a really incredible time in life. But I've got new voice students that I'm teaching over iPhone, and it works, it works. And there are definitely still things to learn and do, and ways that we can continue to prosper and, become better musicians, better people, and better artists at the end of this, and serve the world and the community.
Great. Well, again, one of the reasons I'm sure you've been able to do all these things is because you're just such a wonderful colleague to work with, and it's been a great honor to have you here, and I'm sure people got a lot out of today. So as Jamie said, her husband, Nathan Graner, is going to be joining us as one of our voice teachers in a few weeks. And for those of you, if you wanted to follow Jamie, we've put in all of the comments here links to her Facebook and to her website and whatnot. So Jamie, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Everybody stay put, because we're going to just go through a few things about what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. But Jamie, we'll see you.
Matt,
I hope.
you. Love
All right.
everybody.
Bye. Okay. So thanks, Jamie. She, as you can see, she's just a wonderful soul and a wonderful teacher. And I thought she explained all of that really well. It was great to hear that information again, and also in a new way. So the next 4 weeks, I think, are going to be a real exciting time to engage with a variety of different topics. And right now, what I'm going to do is I would say this is like the first day of class of a semester where I'm passing out the syllabus. And I always can sense the disappointment of my students on the first day of class if I don't let them out early. So this will take about 15-20 minutes to just walk you through what we're going to do. But I would say in the next 4 weeks, when we have a guest and a voice teacher, that you can expect these events to go about an hour and a half in length. So all of this information is available at the websites of the Mendelssohn Choir of Pittsburgh, which is themendelssohn.org, and also at the Oratorio Society of Minnesota website, oratorio.org. So again, you can go to either of these sites and find out all of the information about each session. Also, again, we're going to ask you, if you're willing, to register for this event, which you can do by going to an Eventbrite page, which will probably appear below me here in a second when Emily puts it up. But it's also been posted in the comments section of each of these live streams. So you can go there. By registering, you'll be able to we'll be able to be in contact with you a little bit more, to give you a little bit more information if need be. And also, we'd like to be able to follow up with some of you after this event to just do a survey and see what if these types of conversations and vocal activities are interesting to you on a continuing basis as we head into a fall season of music where we're just unsure when and if choirs are going to be able to perform again. So we're trying to come up with creative ways to remain engaged with our audience and with our singers. And so we, again, would appreciate having that information from you. Each of the next 4 weeks will, as I said, include a voice teacher. That will start at the top of the hour, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and so on. And then our special guest will come on at about 30 minutes after the hour and do about an hour-long session with you. Next week, we welcome 2 amazing artists. Our guest voice teacher is Kira Duffy. I've only known Jamie for about 4 months or so since we did a big project together, but I've known Kira for over 20 years. We were classmates together at Westminster Choir College. She's gone on to have just a fantastic career as a soprano. She has sung all over the world in concert literature and opera. She has made a specialty of doing new music, and is just a wonderful voice teacher as well. She now teaches at the University of Notre Dame in Indiana, and she'll be leading you for the first half hour next week. Then my friend Tesfa Wandamagniu, who is a professor at St. Olaf College, which is known for the famous St. Olaf Choir. As I'm looking at my house here, I'm looking kind of towards the southwest, and there's a road that runs outside my home. It's Highway 3 in Minnesota, and if I just kept going southwest for about 20 miles, I'd run right into St. Olaf College. So it's a really wonderful resource to have here in this state. Tesfa has been in Minnesota for about 7 years. He's an award-winning teacher and singer. He has started a justice choir here in Minnesota. He has also is the kind of brains and business behind Choir Buzz, which many of you might follow on Facebook. And it's just a passionate advocate for the power of choral music. He's going to be giving a talk called Interrogating the Tradition, Upholding Whiteness in Choral Music. And sorry, my dog is seeing a squirrel outside, I think. And what he is going to be talking about is the way in which we, I think all choral musicians want to use music as a way to open up conversations about problems of justice in our society, and is going to approach this from the idea that that's great in theory, but what does it mean in practice? And how can we as musicians and artists meet head on the changes in our world, the challenges in our world? And for many centuries, artists have been at the forefront of those things, and he wants to have a conversation with us specifically in regards to race. He's going to use several resources, and these are all available at both of the websites that we listed before. So we've put up at each website an assignment for you to do for next week. It's, again, you're encouraged to do the assignment. If you don't have time to do the assignment, or you forget and you still want to come next week, you will not be behind, but you'll just have a little bit more context for his talk. The things that he's asking you to do, the first is to watch a video that's listed there. This is a video performance of a choir at St. Olaf College that is conducted by Tesfa. He's given you very specific times of that video that he wants you to watch, and asks that you do not watch the whole video. I think he's asking you to start at about 1 minute and 40 seconds and go to 6 minutes and 10 seconds. There is content before and content afterwards that he wants to deal with you. That's all specifically listed there on the website, so you should be able to follow that pretty easily. He's also going to be drawing on some material from the book White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo. So I know many of you may have read that book. It's kind of a very popular and kind of contemporary topic that's going on right now. So if you've read that book, you might want to review it, or if you've been thinking about reading that book, now might be a good time to read the first couple chapters, which he said specifically relate to what he's going to be speaking about. Also on the website for Tesfa is a link to the Justice Songbook. This is a resource that is meant for community singing that was put together by Tesfa and a few of his other colleagues in the state of Minnesota when Tesfa was working at a church called Westminster Presbyterian Church. It's intended for people to sing together, outside, inside, at events, impromptu. And so he's asking that you have access to that for next week. He's going to choose 2 or 3 pieces that we will sing together. Obviously, we can't hear each other over this type of broadcast. This is not a Zoom, but we're going to still lift our voices together with Tesfa leading us. So all you will need to do is have that access to that. Could have it on your computer as a PDF. You could choose to print it out. It's about 65 pages if you wanted to print the whole thing out. It's a wonderful resource with lots of well-known tunes and also some songs written specifically for the creation of this book. So I'm really excited to welcome Tesfa here next week, and I'm sure we're going to be in for a wonderful conversation. During the time that we have our guests, we really hope that people use the comment section on the bottom. So we can, if people have questions, I'm going to be in conversation with our guests and kind of, fielding your questions from the live feed and bringing them into this discussion with our guest each week. A few of the other folks that we have, just to give you an overview of the semester, if you will, the following week, we will be joined by Liz Stevens. Liz is a soprano, also a very good friend of mine from my college days, who's gone on to have a wonderful career in opera. She's also a sought-after voice teacher in New York City. She's going to be leading the vocal coaching that day. And our special guest will be Ahmed Ansaldua. Ahmed is a conductor here in the Twin Cities who has started an ensemble called Border Crossing. And Border Crossing is kind of an outgrowth of Ahmed's interest in Latin American choral music. And he's going to be presenting on that repertoire to you. He's going to be sharing things that pieces and concepts about the history of Latin American choral music that might be new or surprising to you. He's going to share new and contemporary pieces of this music that is going on right now and is very popular in Latin and South America, and kind of just give you a historical overview of that. Ahmed's materials are also on the website. There are listening guides, and there are videos that you can watch and kind of begin to experience this music so you have some context for that. The following week, that would be 3 weeks from today, we'll welcome Jamie's husband, Nathan Graner, just a fantastic tenor who was just kind of in the news when the Central Park 5 opera won the Pulitzer Prize. Nathan was one of the original cast members of that, creating the roles, one of the roles in that opera. And you saw a lot of his name in the past couple of weeks, which was very exciting for him. Just a fantastic artist and teacher. He'll be leading the vocal coaching that day and will be followed by Jocelyn Hagen. Jocelyn is a composer who resides here in Minnesota. Just a fantastic, fresh voice in choral music. And she has written, actually, folks in Pittsburgh may remember when we did our Bob Dylan concert a few years ago, she wrote that opener called We Are the Stars, and that was a premiere that we've done. We've done some of Jocelyn Hagen's music with the Oratorio Society. If you don't know her music, you should run out and listen to it. She's going to present a talk called Telling the Stories of Women Through Choral Performance. And one of the pieces that she's going to kind of focus on is a new piece of hers called Songs from Mushka, which she was commissioned by the ensemble Conspirare, a professional ensemble out of Austin, Texas. And she wrote these pieces based on poems of Afghani women. And she's going to talk about the challenges and the kind of soul searching that she had to do to work with these poems, to create music for these poems. And she's also going to talk about a few other pieces by other women composers. I think she just did a session similar to this for a class of mine this summer, and it was really, really fascinating and led to some great discussion about contemporary choral music and the programming of women composers and being a composer as a woman. She just has such great outlooks and ideas about the creation of choral music. It'll be a very exciting event. And finally, the last week, if you'll probably be tired of me by then, but I will lead a discussion on Mendelssohn's Elijah. I've had many people bugging me in both Minnesota and Pittsburgh to program Elijah. In Pittsburgh, we are the Mendelssohn Choir of Pittsburgh. So there's a connection there. But we'll look at some contemporary scholarship. I'll have some articles that I'll put up for you regarding the history of the piece and kind of contemporary ways to look at the hero of Elijah. We'll listen to the music ahead of time. We'll listen to a little bit of it together. And I'm still working, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I will have with us on the broadcast a world-renowned Mendelssohn scholar to answer some of your questions and lead us in discussion. So keep my fingers crossed for that one. And that day, our vocal coach will be Victoria Vargas. Victoria is a fantastic mezzo-soprano. She sings a lot with Minnesota Opera and throughout the upper Midwest. And she was recently hired by the University of Minnesota as our newest voice faculty member. And I was thrilled to chair that search. And I called her up when we were putting this together and said, how about we introduce you to the summer chorus community, the Minnesota community, and also to folks in Pittsburgh. And she was just really thrilled to be asked. And I think we'll present a really great session that night. So that's a brief overview of the 4 weeks that we have ahead of us. Again, a wide array of topics. Again, you're welcome to come for all of them. You're welcome to come for some of them. You're welcome to come just for the conversation or just for the voice lesson each week. Again, the voice lesson will start after a brief introduction from me, start at the top of the hour, and the discussion will start at the bottom of the hour. So we hope that you will tune in. We hope that you will share this program widely. Again, that's open to anybody. So if you know somebody that you used to sing with, or you're or might have a special interest in one of these sessions, please reach out to them and share this event with them. Just a few reminders. So for more information about the entire series, you can go to either the websites listed below, and all of the assignments and information will be there. All of these events are free, and we felt very strongly about that. Normally our summer chorus has kind of a tuition fee to it, but we also are committed to paying all of the artists who are working with us, and we want to pay them well because they're bringing us such wonderful information. So if you felt so moved, we would be accepting donations for this program, and you can donate at either of these websites. You could go right to the website and there's a contribute button on either one. Again, you can choose which one you give to, or you can give to both, whichever one. We're splitting the costs evenly for this event. So anywhere that anything that you could donate would be meaningful and helpful to help assure that this programming is able to continue. And so just a reminder that next week is Kira Duffy and Tessa Wanda-Magnayu. All of the information is available on the web pages. And again, do a little bit of homework so you have a good sense of the context for the events. I'm going to see if I see we have a couple questions here. And so sorry, I'm looking off of the screen, but I'm going to just finish up tonight. If you have any questions about the logistics, go ahead and type them in the comments and I will try to answer them the best I can. Barry Lau, a singer with the Oratorio Society, asked, are these sessions going to be recorded? They are being recorded, and they, like if you're watching this on Facebook, it'll stay live on the site that you're watching it on for at least a few days. I'm not sure how long it'll be there. And on YouTube, they'll be there indefinitely. So again, if somebody missed this or you want to go back and hear what Jamie had to say again, you can go back and find that and listen to it. Let's see, Brianna, an alto with the Mendelssohn Choir, says, did you find any pieces while preparing the series that may make it into an upcoming program for one of the choirs? Not yet, I would say, because I've been mainly dealing with the logistics of getting the speakers all here. I love Jocelyn's music, and we will, in Pittsburgh, we'll be performing another one of her pieces when we are able to come back together. Her Notebooks of Leonardo da Vinci, which is a major work. I have spent a lot of time with Ahmed going through the Latin American choral music, and I'm fascinated to learn more about that. I will be honest, it's not something that I was really exposed to other than just maybe tangential pieces in any of my degree programs. Even though I went to school in Arizona, which had a large Latino student population, and had actually in the instrumental areas really did great work in that area. So I've learned so much from Ahmed over the years. And when he and I were putting some of the pieces together for his list, well, he put them together, and when I was reviewing them, there were several that I really loved. So hopefully those will come soon as well. Here are some other questions. Ashley says, Choral music often leads us to meet new people from different backgrounds and areas of expertise. Which one of the presenters have you known the longest, and how did you meet them? I think I said a little bit before that I think probably the one I've known the longest is Liz Stevens. Liz and I went to college together and so we've known each other since we were 18. So I've known her for years, probably almost 30 years, and had the great fortune to actually share a house with her during my senior year, and where we shared our love of cooking. And we spent a lot of time together, and over the years have been able to reconnect professionally and also personally. So I've known her the longest, and I've probably known Nathan and Vicky and Jamie the shortest. I've just met them this spring and just am thrilled to know them as people and as artists as well. Let's see. Mary Beth Salama says, any chance we will have a justice event in Pittsburgh in the future? Those of you in Pittsburgh choir know that we're planning the Pittsburgh Big Sing, which is probably the least applicable type of singing event we could have designed in the era of COVID-19. But that was supposed to happen next spring, but we've delayed it another year. But we're already talking about the ways in which we can bring actually some of this Justice Songbook and ways that we can engage more deeply with the Pittsburgh community. This is a program that we designed in which we hope to create a singing event or mini choir, pop-up choir in every municipality in Allegheny County, of which there are over 200. So we're hoping to have over 200 small singing events, which we hope really connect with the community and then bring all of those folks together at Point State Park as part of the Three Rivers Arts Festival to do a mass singing event that will be led by Bobby McFerrin, who does, I think, a lot of work in kind of justice songs as well. So we've had some discussions with him about how that will look. That was before COVID-19, and I'm sure as we revisit, and also before all of the the tragic murder of George Floyd and all of the kind of new discussions that are kind of ringing out stronger now. So I'm sure that will all be part of the discussions that we have regarding those events. Okay, I see, it looks like that's about all of the questions that I see right now. But again, it's been a pleasure being here with you today. I'm really looking forward to welcoming our guests. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to the organizations through the websites, and we will do our best to answer those for you. We'd love to get any feedback you had about tonight. Were there any technical issues? Were you able to hear people well? Was there any type of delay? If you wanted to reach out through one of our websites and let us know that would be helpful. But again, here we go on the bottom. For more information, you can visit one of these sites. But until next Wednesday, I'm going to sign off, and we will see you at the top of the hour, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, and I think that would be 5 Arizona time and 5 Pacific time. I think that gets it all. One of the hardest parts of my job, going between Pittsburgh and Minnesota, 2 time zones, is not actually knowing what time zone I'm in. It's making sure when I put an event into my iPhone calendar that I assign it the right time zone. Because if I don't do that, then I'm sometimes an hour late or an hour early. And the iPhone always knows where you are, and it automatically enters that time zone in for you. So if I'm putting a Pittsburgh event when I'm in Minnesota, if I don't switch it, then I get there at the wrong time. But I think you're all in one place probably, and you'll be able to remember what time that is. So until then, a warm goodbye, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, everybody.